Welcome to the Old Souls and Seekers podcast, brought to you by Satori Prime. If you're anything like us, you've been around and around the personal development and mindset block quite a few times. You've read the books, watched the videos, attended the seminars, and even worked with a coach or two, and yet you still find yourself searching for more. You may even feel stuck or that you should be farther along than where you are right now. And after doing over a decade of mindset work, we've come to this realization. Mindset work is like a small hit of dopamine that distracts you from your true work. You get these little hits of feeling better, only to be met with the same underlying conditions and patterns over and over again. Now, mindset was an important part of your evolution as well as ours, but it hits a plateau, and now you find yourself ready for that deeper layer of growth and expansion. If you're listening to this podcast, then you're ready to get off that Ferris wheel. This podcast is only for those that are ready to dive deep and do the real inner healing work. For those that are ready to move past more information into actual experiences. If you're looking for more understanding, then you've come to the wrong place. This is a home for old souls ready to fully embrace and remember who they truly are. Ready to make a profound difference in their lives and in the lives of others. So welcome home, dear one. We're excited to be part of your journey. Guy and I just came back from, we're in a 2-year program, so we just came back from a module yesterday. So very fresh off of that. Lots of things kind of streaming and coming through, so I'm sure you guys will get the beauty and the juice of that. It'd be fun to maybe even do like a sit with them today and just do like a drop in just so they can kind of feel this. If you're new to this community, just a few things for you guys to note. There's a lot, and I mean like a lot of different content and different ways that we can support you on your journey. A lot. Different people find their way into this community wanting different things. You know, some of you come in here because you're trying to heal a relationship thing. Some of you are in here and you're like transitioning into a new career or wanting to live more of your soul's purpose, things like that, right? Some of you maybe are here because you want to expand your financial abundance, deal with stress, anxiety, right? So that you can be in like a lot of different places, or you can be in all of those places. You're like, I want a bit of column A, B, C, and D. What we've done to make your life as easy as humanly possible so that you can get to exactly where you want to get to as fast as possible is we have an incredible team here. And the team is, we have coaches, we have people that can direct you. And so what we invite you to do if you're new here, I'm going to give you 2 incredible paths. First is chat with one of our team members. Corey, Mel, and Tobias are part of our team. They're here to guide you to the resources that would most benefit you right now with where you're at on your path. Okay? So Guy just put this in the comment box. If you just type in "I'm in" the comments below, one of the team members will reach out to you. They'll either message you on Messenger. If they feel like you guys get to jump on a call, they're even willing to do that with you. That is the best and smartest way to start your journey with us here, because it'll give you access. They'll tell you, oh, you know, here's this resource here, or you can go there, and they will just guide you, ask you a few questions, and then basically customize a journey path for you that will give you the most bang for your buck. Okay? That's one. The second thing that I want to invite you guys all to do is, if you haven't already done so, regardless of what area of life you are working on, and you don't even need to listen to me. Between the science that's coming behind this and literally every world leader or, you know, people that we look up to today within their top 3 to 5 list of things that they do every day is going to be one commonality, aside from maybe brushing their teeth. And that is meditation. And I know what some of you might be thinking, well, I've tried meditation and it doesn't really work for me, or I don't really get it, whatever it is. What I want to offer you is that we do something here that's very, very different. There
We
is a,
we let our father into the room during a live stream.
yeah, that's right. There is, as Guy put it up there, there is something called a 20-day meditation challenge, 28-day meditation challenge. My wife was actually saying this story to our friends here the other day because the friend got curious. She's like, Elon, you're into this meditation thing. Like, tell me about it. And we went on this beautiful conversation. And she's one of these like hardworking, just like always on the go, super stressed, million things that she's doing. She's like, I just don't have time to meditate. And usually when someone says that, my thought is like, you need to meditate doubly.
Yeah, you can't afford not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because Fanny, my wife, was sharing her perspective, and Fanny meditates on a regular basis now too. And there was a moment where she was like really, really struggling. Like she was really stressed with things around our kids. And it was Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. And we kind of create like new intentions of what we want to create. And she was like, I really want to have more peace around our kids. And I was like, okay, and how are you going to do that? Like it's beautiful to set these intentions like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Setting these big hopeful things, it's like, how's that helping you? So she's like, I don't know. I was like, well, can I offer you something? She said, sure. I said, do a 30-day meditation challenge. And she gave me the whole litany that everyone does. Oh, what about, I don't know. I tried. It doesn't do it. I was like, listen, here's the deal. You want to have more peace in your life around children, right? I said, do you think that that's going to happen overnight? Like, do you think there's some magical potion or pill or thing that you're going to read and all of a sudden you're going to have peace? No, it's going to take work. So do the 30-day meditation challenge. And at the time she got like the Calm app and, did it that way. And what she said was that she was like, I'm going to do the 30 days so I can say I did the 30 days so I can go to my husband and be like, you see, I did the 30 days and then I'm going to stop. In her world, she was just going to do it to like prove me wrong and that's it. And I was like, I don't give a shit what the motivation is, right? Like, cuz I knew what was going to happen. And sure enough, within that 30-day window, she started to notice that there's like moments of more peace and like she was just calmer at home and this and that. And then she missed a day or two, and those day or two were like way more stressful, right? And so I don't know what your journey is going to be, right? But what we have done is we've created a 28-day meditation challenge where we literally walk you through different meditations. And here's my promise. If you stick to the 28-day meditation challenge, whatever area you are working on, you want to transition in your career, you want peace in a relationship, you want to create more money or abundance, you want more, just dealing with stress, overwhelm, whatever it is, I promise you that this path is going to be the fastest thing to get you there. There's other teachings and we can go deeper and blah, blah, blah. But this 28-day meditation challenge is free. That is the best place to start. Start with that. Talk to someone on our team to get like additional resources and pieces. And yeah, and someone said, I need to start over because I didn't finish. Start over. Like you have access to them forever. We just take you through this like 28 days. And there's 4 different meditations. These are active meditations. So they're very different than anything that you've done. We don't just have you sit there and be like, notice your breath. Like you're not going to have to do that. These are very active. So for anyone that's active mind, these are wonderful. And then you have access to them forever. And you can just choose which ones you want to do. Like you'll find ones that you just resonate with. And you'll be called to do certain ones at different times because they're 4 kind of distinct practices that we offer. By the way, these are something that our clients who pay us tens of thousands of dollars are still doing. Like they're that valuable, right? These are the practices that Guy and I do on a regular basis. So that's my offer. Just start with the meditations, type in I'm in, get on a call or, at least messenger with one of our team members and like get in there. Because my guesstimation is you're here because there's something that you're wanting in your life. There's like a deep desire. There's like the mental desire, but there's this like soul desire that probably brought you here because you probably feel like you're up to something. Like, and maybe you're not clear on your purpose yet, but there's something pulling you towards something bigger. This is what this community is amazing at. You're going to be around people that are going to be able to pull that out of you in a pretty effortless way if you're just going to, take the steps necessary. But if you sit on the sidelines and just kind of like hope, I think you kind of know how that goes. So that's my invitation. There's an amazing, amazing opportunity for your soul's purpose to be seen and witnessed and put into action. And we're just here waiting, open arms for you to jump in when you're ready.
Let's dive into the topic at hand. It says lopping, but it should say looping. It says how to break free of past mistakes and stop looping. So how many of you guys know that you find yourself in like same and or similar situations where like the same kind of thing keeps happening in your life over and over again? Just say yes in the chat box if you find yourself in those kind of places. And then I want you to also take a look, if you say yes, or if you want to sound off on this, where is that? Where is that happening in your life? Okay. Is it in your relationships? Is it around your health? Is it around money? Is it in all those, like dealer's choice here? Like you pick, you could say all the above. I want to work on the whole enchilada, right? And that's fine. And I implore you to work on the whole enchilada. And the reason I say that is I don't think you can separate anything in your life. If your relationship is in shambles, it's going to hurt your ability to feel abundance and prosperity in your life. If your health is not in order, chances are you're in emotional distress as well, right? Like everything in our system is intertwined. We like to create these distinctions. We're very used to specialized type of stuff. Like you go to a doctor, right, who specializes in this or who specializes in that. And I promise you, if you went to a naturopath, for example, for those of you guys who have not had that experience, I don't know how many of you guys love the medical system in the United States who are experiencing it, but like when you go into a doctor's office here, you spend like 5-10 minutes with you, they throw a script at your face, and they're like, there you go.
Your life is fixed.
We took care of it. Here's some steroids and antibiotics, and good luck with whatever happens to you after that. But if you go to a naturopath, for example, like me and my wife, we're very health oriented. We spend a lot more money than most probably on their healthcare, and it's like not even preventative. It's just like we're like, I'm sure Elon's like this too. We're focused on longevity, right? So we're not waiting till things go awry. We're looking how to support our systems right now. Like I'm about to turn 40. Like I get it, right? There's a biological degradation, and it doesn't have to be fast, and it can also be smooth, and I can help myself, and there's all sorts of stuff. I don't need to wait till I'm 16 in pain everywhere to figure out that I need to like support my body, right? But the reason I say that is if you go to a naturopath, what's beautiful about them is they take a holistic approach. If you don't know what holistic approach means, it means they look at the entire system simultaneously. And so they are looking, if we do this, what's the downstream effect? Is there a negative downstream effect? And if there is, let's support that so when we get there, the body is strong. Where a doctor will give you a pill and, these side effects, blah, 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 right? We all know those. They don't look at that at all. And they're like, good luck, and we'll give you another pill when you get there. And then that'll have a downstream effect and good luck, right? So when you sit with a naturopath, you'll sit for 60 to 90 minutes talking to one doctor about your health. And for me, I can only tell you energetically, when I leave a doctor's office, I'm like, that was awful. When I leave a naturopath's office, I was like, that was amazing, right? Because I'm like actually sitting there in the care of someone who has this philosophy and perspective on health that's extremely refreshing. So if you've never had that experience, I highly value that. And so like, I would say that Elon and my approach is a holistic approach. We can, there are certain coaches you'll go to and they're like, all right, we're going to help you make a fuck ton more money and let's like hold you accountable. And every week when you're not doing your stuff, we're going to be like, bad, do your stuff. That's not how we operate here. Because what we understand is the things that motivate every one of us, I include myself in this, I include anybody I've ever worked with in this, um, is that what motivates you in life is oftentimes the trauma that's in your system. Not even oftentimes, is nearly always what motivates you. Now, if you don't know exactly know what I mean by that, let me just kind of give you a map here. Because especially if you're new to our world, we don't look at trauma as necessarily a mental illness. Okay. We look at what's happening mentally as the side effect, as the downstream side effect of what's actually going on in your body. And so, what psychology or therapists might call trauma, we look at it from an energetic perspective within the system, an energetic and even emotional perspective, but really energetic and sensational perspective inside the system, which is that when you have trauma, a part of our system kind of locks up. Maybe if you want to think of it this way, it's like if you were 3 years old and you experienced trauma, then that 3 year old gets frozen in time. How that might show up in the body is a certain constriction of energy inside the body that stays there until it is met with attunement and presence in a very specific way. And so that tension that's in the body is what the mind is looking at and reacting to. And so what kind of, science looks at as a mental illness, we know is actually being sourced within the subframe of our energetic and emotional body. And so if you can metabolize that, then the mind stops being reactive. And to Elon's point, that's what our meditations focus on. That's why they're so different. We're not telling you to quiet your mind. We're not trying to tell you to create a new habit. We're saying witness what is happening in your body. And through the meditation, we show you how to support your own system by meeting it in a specific way. The language we like to use is attunement. And when you attune to your system in a specific way, right, just like a person who's tuning a guitar, you're going to get a different sound. You're going to get a pleasant sound in the system. So that's what we want to do. Now we can attune to ourselves interpersonally, like in our own relationship. We can get attunement from others. If you think about the relationship you had with mom and dad when you were upset, you didn't just want their presence, you didn't just want their comfort or whatever. There's a certain type of attunement that you wanted from mom and dad. And if you've never considered that, I'd like for you to just sit there for a moment and think about moments of stress in your life where mom and dad were or were not around, and what your system desired, not at the level of mentality, but like what did you actually want to experience and feel inside of your body. And by the way, every child, as far as I'm concerned, is born completely sensitive, completely opened. And then what we call trauma is the ego patterns or personality or identity patterns that a child has to develop intelligently so, by the way, not a bad thing, intelligently so, to defend and protect that sensitive child. And so in public, when you meet people who seem to have no sensitivity at all, or what we might call like psychopathic, sociopathic behavior, right? These are highly, highly, highly defended systems. So you're not looking at an asshole, hypothetically. What you're looking at is somebody who's highly traumatized. Okay. And so there's like big T trauma, right? Like holy shit trauma. And then there's like little T trauma. So there's like hard trauma, like, getting heavily abused at home, sexually, physically. And then there's like emotional, like subtle, even passive aggressive type of trauma that can happen to a child. And for some of us who feel really traumatized but didn't have like the abusive parent at home, it could be extremely confusing why we still feel anxious or stressed out, or we become overreactive in certain situations. And we're like, where did that come from? Right. And so where these responses, this reactivity comes from is these parts that in that moment, the safety falls out. And then the mind has to try to find a way to create safety again. But you got to realize if it's stuck in this old, very old pattern, things that you developed at 0 to 7 years old, mostly that you're reacting to. And this is why we loop. How many of you guys can relate to this, by the way? You find yourself again in these similar patterns and you're like, try as I might through willpower, through habit. It's like, why doesn't it change? Like I'm looking right at it. I know that it's there. I've done the work. I've read the books. I understand the psychology. I'm still doing that. And so now it's
And I just want to name that, like, it's not like there's no progress. It's you have moments where you're like, oh, I got it. And then it just slides right back. And those are kind of those debilitating, annoying ones because it's like you put in the work, you put in the effort, you put in the time, the money, the et cetera. And you have these moments where you're like, I got it, I got it. And then it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
here we are again.
And what I want to say about that, it's kind of a double-edged sword to have that knowledge, right? Because there's a difference. Let's acknowledge that there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is what you read in the book. It's the stuff that you can remember, and then you can try to pay attention to it, but it's hard to rehabituate anything for the mind because the mind's already looking at something from a certain perspective. Now, we can certainly shift that perspective, but there's a lot of energy moving, right, with a lot of momentum in a certain direction because you've done that thing like 100,000 times. And then here you come and you're like, okay, new habit, let's do it once. Let's do it twice. Why am I not doing it this new way yet? And that's kind of people's contention. They think they can go to like a weekend retreat, do something like 2 times, and they're like perfectly healed. It's like, no, there's a lot more neuronal pathways and energy moving in the other direction. It takes quite a bit to shift into a new pattern. And so a lot of us are trying to change through willpower. And this is why I say it's a double-edged sword, because now you have the knowledge of what's happening, right? From the level of like linguistics or information. And then you do the thing again because that's what your body naturally gravitates towards and habituates. And now not only are you doing it, but you're making yourself wrong for doing it, which is like double whammy. Because now you're doing it and you don't have compassion for yourself while you're doing it. And nothing in this world that Elon and I can tell you as far as healing is concerned, like actually healing and restoring and remembering something, can happen with compassion not being present. Okay, Elon and I cannot do healing work with anybody if they don't learn compassion for the self and if we are not in a compassionate state while it's happening. If you have an agenda to get rid of it, what happens? You guys tell me. When you have an agenda to fix something, to change something, to make something happen, like to go away, it gets stronger. It doesn't like your agenda. That part of you does not like an agenda. It's like having an agenda with a 3-year-old. For those of you guys who are parents, try to have an agenda with a child. Try to tell them it's time to hurry up and put their shoes on. Right? How does that go? And so we want to be able to recognize this phenomenology that exists about our biology, about our energetic body, about our emotional body, about the way that our soul interacts with this reality. These are different dynamic states, by the way, of mind that a human being has. And we were just talking about this with our coaches training, and we oftentimes collapse all of them simultaneously into one. And so there are different ways where we can work with different parts of you, of different parts of this mind. Because if we really want to look at the universe, it's like kind of this like one mind, and you're really just a part and are that one mind as well. So when we're investigating meditation and stuff like that, we're investigating different layers of mind. Mostly, I've never met anybody outside of this, but mostly, I'll just say it this way, mostly everyone I've ever met operates from one place in their mind, which is the conditioning of their mind. Okay? And what you want to realize, one of the first things that we teach is this conditioning has a location. Okay? So you might ask yourself, where is that location? Well, where right there in your room right now, for those of you guys who are listening, some of you guys have probably watched the demo that we do here or have me explain programs or whatever it is. And if you have or haven't, that's fine. But I can't see you, but I want you to point to yourself within your awareness. Where do you experience the world from? Like, where's the world coming into you? Like, what's actually witnessing, and where is it located? Okay, so I'm not going to point yet because I just want you guys to take a guess. Again, we can't see you, so right, wrong, and different doesn't really matter. But usually where people point is right here. I'm right here. Okay, so I want to, again, this is lesson 101 here for you guys, is that your awareness can be anywhere. Somebody said heart center. Heart center is a place that some people sit in, but most people are not operating from there. We don't have a world of the heart right now. We have a very mind-centric world. And so like you might notice your heart, but you're probably still noticing it from up here. Okay? And so for most people, they live right here. They live somewhere, seemingly somewhere behind the eyes. And if you even investigate this for a little bit with any spiritual teacher, you're going to suddenly realize it's not where you are at all. That's where you've been conditioned to be, and that is where your conditioning exists. And hence, most people are stuck in an experience of the world, of relationships, and what's possible for them simply through the conditioning that they adopted unconsciously. Okay? So it's legit nobody's fault that they've had the experiences that they've had, right? Whether your parents were abusive or amazing or elsewise. It's not your fault that those things happened to you. Elon and I do believe your soul came here for those experiences, but that's just our story. You can have a different story. That's fine, right? However, if you recognize that, then it is your responsibility, if you choose, to self-realize and heal those aspects so that you can come out of the psychosis of the conditioning that most people are living inside of. If you want a very narrow band of reality to exist where only this is allowed for me and all these things are not allowed for me and only this is allowed for everybody else because only this is allowed for me and I live in a regiment and a rule and there's no possibility in my life and I'm always going to be unhealthy and money's always going to be a problem and relationships are like this and the world fucking sucks and and I'm the victim of things, then live there. Live there because that is the result of living there. And if you look out into the world, there's examples of it everywhere you look. If you are interested in reconditioning, reshaping, transforming, healing, connecting, creating abundance in your life in every possible way, then the only way that Elon and I have found in 20 years of work, tens of thousands of people coached, and well over $1 million between the two of us invested to get out of there is to learn how to come out of the conditioning of the mind, is to literally operate from a different level of mind. Because the only way out of the conditioning is to witness the conditioning. And you cannot witness the conditioning from the conditioning. It's as simple as that. Your hand cannot see itself. It needs a witness to be seen. The back of your head can't be seen by you, but somebody can come and witness it, right? So again, the meditations are the beginning practices of learning how to locate the witness. This is a higher state of mind. This is called awakened aware mind. Okay? When we do that, when we do this, there is a certain effect that happens to our biology, our energetic and emotional systems. There's a lot more systems here at play. We can talk about attachment systems. Okay? We can talk about a lot of different things, but the language doesn't really matter because all these things are just language that we give to certain qualities and phenomena that people notice when they go to different states of consciousness. But what we want to teach ourselves, if you want to get out of the past mistakes, if you want to get out of the loops, again, if you understand what I'm saying here is trauma is held within the body. It's held within the subconscious, which is really the entire nervous system as a whole. So it's not the mind here that is having the problem. This is just the reactive machine. It's frozen energy in here. So what we want to do with frozen energy is we want to bring back fluidity to the body. The way that we do that is the body opens and metabolizes. Okay, it's no different than the way that you eat food or what happens when you're metabolizing sunlight energy to turn it into vitamin D. These are all different metabolic states that our body does, and it does lots of these things. But when it comes to our mental state, our emotional state, our ability to connect, have healthy attachments with other people, all this stuff is prohibited by the conditioning that was alarmed or in a state of fear or panic or anxiousness. And you guys all know these type of people that seem totally fine and around 30, 40, 50 years old start having significant panic attacks or debilitating emotional states or PTSD, right? You just like name all these, again, just language we give basically to stuck frozen patterns that people have. And you're like, how did that happen to that person? That's what happens when you turn away from these parts for decades. Okay? Like you can take a really overweight person, right? And they may have been eating unhealthy because that's the patterning they learned at home since they were 3, 4, 5 years old. And now they've been doing that for 30, 40, 50, 60, like not even that many, let's say 20, 30, 40 years. Now, they didn't start having heart attacks at 7 years old. They didn't start getting out of breath right away. But as you create that demand on the body for a long period of time, I think we can all agree, and I'm sorry if you're in that situation, right, that there's going to be a significant detriment to your health and your ability to move around and feel emotionally well or confident or whatever it might be, right? Like whatever the impact of that might be. It is the same for all of us when it comes to these states, when it comes to trauma. Every child has been traumatized. I've never met a not traumatized human being. And so until we understand that when we go into this state, there's a certain thing that happens to our biology. An intelligence kicks in that takes over and heals and metabolizes this energy from our body. Just the same way as when you eat food, you trust that your body's going to metabolize the food, right? And extricate it, sorry to be graphic, and get rid of it. Because if it stayed in your body, you're going to have a big fucking problem, right? When you have if you cannot go to the bathroom, there's going to be an obvious pain in your body, like in the stomach region, and your mind is going to have an opinion about it, and it's going to be extremely worried, and it's going to try to fix it. It's exactly what is happening with our emotional states. It's exactly what's happening with trauma. So what we teach here in plain English is we teach you how to metabolize that energy. And this is why we don't have you practice on quieting your mind, because you don't need to. The downstream effect of metabolizing energy in your body is a less reactive mind. The downstream effect of metabolizing energy is your ability to authentically connect in a safe way to other people. By the way, that's a biological need for human beings. If you're wondering why we have certain people doing very violent things in our society, go look at their history and you'll find out that person is extremely isolated, generally speaking. And our biology, our animal body, needs connection. That's called healthy attachment systems. When you don't have that, this world is an extremely scary place to be. If you live in a world where everywhere you look is you just experience fear, demons, right? Like everyone's evil, you can understand why picking up a gun suddenly seems like that's an okay thing to do. You want to do violence to this world that has betrayed you and violated you. So that's an extreme thing, but I just want to show it as an example because that is not something that is like, it's okay if we have it or not. That's not true for a human being. We are absolutely socially built creatures. It is built into the fabric of our tissues, of our DNA, and of everything inside of us. And when we don't get that safely, this is where a lot of the people get these difficult amalgamations in their life. So here's the good news. No matter how old you are, no matter how much trauma you've dealt with, there are practices you can do to give your biology and your body and your emotions and your energetics a way to get the information that it missed during its developmental cycle that allows for your body to metabolize and reorganize into much, much healthier states. There is no age limit here because consciousness and awareness has no age, and you can start this at any time. But here's what there is to know. I'm going to give you the fact that nobody's going to tell you. There's no quick fix here.
There's no what?
There's no quick fix. What Elon, I got really clear on this weekend, and I think it needs to be shared more because I really want you guys to understand that if you come take this ride with us, what you're getting into, we are going to show you where the path is. That's all we're going to do. Most of you guys have not been able to find the path. You don't even know one exists. When you get on that path and you start walking down this journey, this is the journey of a lifetime. This is the journey of lifetimes. This is the journey of self-realization. This is the journey of transformation. This is the journey of healing. All of us across the board, again, tens of thousands of people coached. I don't even know, hundreds of thousands of hours of training under mine and Elon's belts, right? I really don't know. Maybe 100,000 is a lot, but tens of thousands of hours of training. What I've seen now with human beings is we are all carrying lineage trauma from this lifetime and many others before that. What has happened to the people in our lineage, in our ancestry, that stuff has been passed down. That is now, by the way, proven by science. I can cite the studies that have proven this is true. 14 generations deep, it seems to be what science believes currently is how far lineage pain gets passed down in our DNA. And so we don't know what trauma you're coming in with. We had a teacher this weekend say that if you are a deeply traumatized person, you can expect a 6 to 10 year journey minimum to heal that. If it's more in that lighter range, about 3 to 6. Okay. And if you're like, woe is me, I don't have that long, we all got to get started somewhere. If you're overweight, I'm just going to use that because it's something we can see, right? It's physical, it's dense. There's no practice, there's no diet that you can do that's going to have that weight lose in 2 to 3 days. You have to have a consistent commitment to your health over a long period of time. And in 3 to 5 years, you're probably going to be a healthy person again. But you got to commit to that 3 to 5 years. Now, if you don't, you're going to get less well for those 3 to 5 years. And those 3 to 5 years are coming whether or not you start this process. And with
Yeah.
spirituality, with self realization, it's the same. Those 3 to 5 years are coming anyway. Your money concerns that you have today, you're probably going to have them in 3 to 5 years. Those challenges that you have with your relationships, they're going to be here in 3 to 5 years. That negative self talk, that's going to be here in 3 to 5 years. It's not going anywhere. And you got to consider these 3 to 5 years are a blink in time, truly. From the perspective of the soul and the infinite nature of our consciousness and energy, 3 to 5 years is a fucking joke. It barely even blips on the radar. And this journey of self-realization may be a many, many multiple lifetime journey. But whatever you do in this lifetime is what you're putting in the bank right now as an investment for the next life. And I said this today in a coach's training. A wise person plants a tree that in the shade of which they will never sit. That's this game. This is the long game. And you can make major headway in 6 to 12 months. We're not saying that you won't see crazy changes in your life, notice stability, but like there's stuff that you have avoided facing in your life since you were a little boy or a little girl. The system naturally does this in an effort to create safety in this world. But this path that we're talking about here is an ability to reorganize the system to have more well-being. You guys track this if you want this in your life. More well-being, more stability than you've ever experienced before, more compassion for yourself and others than you've ever experienced before, authentic, safe connection with yourself and others, and an ability to be with anything that arises in your life confidently. If somebody came to you and said, hey, these are the things I can guarantee you will have, you got to take this ride for the next few years. You got to take this ride. But these are the things I guarantee you will get. Are you willing to commit, number one? And then what's the price that you put on that? What's the price that you put on well-being? Because we try to put a price on it, but this shit is priceless. We cannot try to tell you like how many people have done our higher advanced coursework, right? Which is a premium investment. Don't get me wrong. Because Elon and my time is really, really valuable. It's worth it. We're bringing a lot of knowledge and wisdom to the table and practices that allow for these realizations to happen because we've done that work. Elon and I are not different than you. We're just further down the path. That's it. That's the only difference. So we can point at things in the path and be like, don't step there, go there. See what happens. And at the end, when we interview people, they're like, you know what, when I got into this, it seemed really expensive. Had I known what I was going to get from this, I would have paid 5 times as much.
I mean, I just have to read this to you guys. So Kimberly wrote here. This is, and mind you, she's just pointing to the free 28-day meditation challenge. Okay, this is not even one of our paid programs. She wrote, I have to share that I started my meditation practice through Old Souls and Seekers about a month ago, and my life has changed for the better dramatically. I did a ton of my own psychological and spiritual work on myself for years, and the meditation has been the icing on the cake for me. I haven't needed to take my ADHD medication. I have no anxiety, and two things I've had previous negative experiences with have positively presented themselves in my life, and those are love and money. No exaggeration. I'm so thankful I found this group. By the way, that's the free content that's on offer, right? Like, so you can only imagine when we get to the difference is like this work is beautiful because it's transmission based. You know, it's not about learning a concept. It's about you experiencing something new. And Kimberly's pointing to that beautifully, like the experience of love and money is different in her body, such that she doesn't even need to take ADHD medication right now. That's through a transmission that she's just following along with a meditation that we recorded a while ago. Imagine being able to sit in the energy field with us. And really, what we're doing is we're helping your system to open its own. If you can imagine, like inside right now, there's a hose. Okay, that hose is supposed to be connected to life force. It's supposed to be connected to source. It's supposed to be connected to intuition and peace and well-being and all the things that you're wanting. It's right here. It's right in front of you. But you don't have receptors like they talk about brain, right? There's certain receptors in the brain that can collect dopamine or serotonin or like the feel good chemicals. And certain people, those neural pathways are blocked. So they can't get that from their brain. Your body is the same exact thing. There are pathways, energetic pathways, that unless they're open, you're not receiving all that stuff that's here. And so when you're trying to really like work on moving, what Guy's saying, like dealing with this external circumstances, if the thing is closed inside, okay, like you have a door, that door is closed, and you want to bring abundance, but the actual piece inside that can receive the abundance is closed. Do you think you running around out there faster or pushing harder against the door is going to do anything for your level of abundance? If something inside there's a wounding, and for all of us there's woundings. If something inside is there's a wounding about receiving love and connection from another or receiving support from another, if that pathway is blocked inside, I don't give a shit how many books you read about finding the love of your life or having the most amazing relationship. If that door is closed and your heart is defended, you will not be able to receive that love, that support, that well-being, or anything that's out there. It doesn't matter how hard you work at it. And you might, those flickers that you feel, those flickers of aha moments that give you hope, where you're like, oh, it's because there's no doorway. So, okay, so maybe like snuck in through the keyhole, right? And you have this moment of like, oh, but that's it. When you start to like go internal and open the system through these practices, through the meditations, through the different practices that we're teaching our clients, you're actually opening your system. All the things that you want in your life are already here. Einstein said it best, that, like Einstein was like, they would always ask him, how did you come up with this? How did you come up with that? He's like, I didn't come up with any of this stuff. He just had a way to open his awareness and reach into this space and grab it. Everything's already there. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Guy and I talk about this all the time. There's studies where a group of monkeys on one side of the world figure out how to use a tool, right? Like a stick or something. And then on the completely opposite side of the world, at the exact same time, within a matter of days, that other group of monkeys figure out the same exact thing. Or they're a lab or like a medical lab in somewhere in the world solves something that has been unsolvable in God knows how many, hundreds of years. And then within days, without sharing information or publishing anything, another lab on the complete other side of the world figures out the exact same thing.
AI is a good example right now of like how many AI labs are suddenly just starting to perform and put these things out there simultaneously. This is true for television. This is true for radios. This is true for flight. This is true for physical records that are set within days or weeks of that. Almost exclusively, the breakthroughs are happening in other parts of the world. We
Yeah,
call this, it's not invention, it's intervention.
correct. So it's not that we're not asking you to, like, the mind thinks. Just follow this with me for a sec. Your mind convinces you that there's information that needs to be gotten out there. and it's convinced you that you're missing something. Tell me if that resonates for you. That there's this feeling of like, I'm missing something. They're holding out on me. Like, I need to go find this thing. And so you are constantly out there searching. More books, more information, more books, more information, right? And you're chasing something. Who's telling you to go chase that information? Is it like a heartfelt, like, oh, is your heart constantly being like, run over there, run over there, run over there? No. It's a very clear, audible process. It's a very clear voice that is constantly telling you to go out there. Yeah, and I don't know who said this, who said that last piece here. Yeah,
Right.
Adrian said, so true, Elon, until you find the thing inside. Exactly. Because the mind, look, to the mind, what's happening in here is a minefield. Mine, M-I-N-E, field. It's very scared to go in here. It thinks that if you're going in here and you're going to start to touch and open some of these doorways, you will literally die. That's what it's convinced you of. And think about, like, some of you resist doing this work because there's some trauma that you know you've hidden behind so many doors and so many locks that if God forbid that door ever opens, like, you don't even know what would happen. And that prospect is so terrifying for you that you resist doing this work. And so instead, it's a lot safer, or the mind will tell you, to just go get more information and understand why. Feel the difference. Like, isn't it safer to just go like read stuff out there in books or watch stuff out there in videos than actually go in here and begin the process of uncovering? It takes a fuck ton of courage to be able to go in here. And so just even notice the resistance as I name it right now, because I can kind of feel it like starting to pop off in this field. Notice how like the mind is scared to go in here. And so I just want to offer you something that I think distinguishes this work from many other. We're not trauma therapists. The work we do here is not like talk trauma therapy. In fact, you don't have to relive any of that stuff. None of our programs are we ask you to like tell us your story or go back to that event in your life. Like, I don't care. I used to. I used to tell you to go back there over and over and over because it's the only way that I knew that at that time that you can access it. But we were accessing it from a mind perspective. Here's what there is to get. Right here, right now, as I'm naming this thing, notice what's happening in your body. Some of you are feeling a contraction maybe in your heart. Some of you feeling a contraction in your solar plexus. Some of you maybe something's happening in your stomach. And if you even notice your breath, you're going to notice that your breath is like a little shallower right now. How many of you guys can just begin to notice that there's sensations right here, right now? Different contractions. Okay. So what there is to get for those that are feeling that is that there is your body remembers everything. It doesn't know the difference between it happened 3-4 decades ago and it happening right now. Those things that happened 3, 4, or 5, however many decades ago, are running your show right now. The same thing that created the protection to never go back there again has also created all these different managers to make sure that you never feel that way. And so every time this thing arises, it's telling you to like run over there because we don't want to pay attention over here.
Yeah, it's distorting your view of reality.
So it's happening. You're dealing with it, whether you know it or not. You're dealing with those old traumas every single day. And you've been trying to manage those traumas every single day through more understanding. So if you're experiencing that, this is what I want to offer you. Like, it doesn't matter. I don't need you to go back to the trauma. You're experiencing it right here, right now, without even bringing that other stuff through. The reason trauma therapy is so scary for people and sometimes actually negatively affecting them is because you're looping back into the trauma and you're actually creating more of it in your body. And that's why people that have done that work, they're like, I don't want to go there. It's so scary. And my invitation is you don't have to go there. It's here now. I don't need you to go relive that thing. I'm just curious of like, can you notice what's here now? Can you notice the constriction? Can you notice the block here now? As you release that through the practices that we teach you, you're actually undoing the stuff that happened decades ago without actually having to go back there and relive it. You've been trying to somehow unwind it through this like world of mind and understanding, but that world of mind and understanding can't go into the body and do any of it. It
Mm.
can just watch and understand. So if you've been on the sidelines and you're kind of like noticing the resistance of, I don't want to go in there, like I'm really scared, my invitation is, first of all, it's okay to be scared. Second of all, we're not going to have to take you there for you to have the healing that you want.
Mm.
You don't have to. I'm not saying that like I know what you will experience as we bring stuff through like right here right now. But yeah, if you're who said this? Sasha said, I'm tired of stagnation. The mind will keep you in that world of stagnation. And I hope you guys understand like it's not really your mind's not really interested in you healing. It's just interested in giving you just enough so that you feel like you're making progress. But when you kind of look back at it 3, 5, 10 years from now, you're like, I'm still kind of doing the same shit.
The mind is an epic chess master that wants to keep playing the game that it's playing.
Yeah.
It knows how to play that game. It has
Yeah.
done hundreds of thousands of reps with that game. It knows how to loop the right thought at the right time to keep you in the stagnation. It is fundamentally concerned with physical survival. It's not interested about your emotional well-being. It's not interested about how you connect with people. It's not interested with how the body feels and how it generates safety. I know this is not something that's talked about a lot, but I really want you guys to get this if you can from the place where you're at in your realization at this time, because we're all on this path of evolution, is that human beings don't feel safe. Like that's just what Elon and I have seen. 10,000 people we worked with, our individual work, 20 years of doing literally day in and day out committed work. The nervous system is not in a place of safety and it's rampant worldwide. And for most people, they look at safety or relationships or what's going to make them happy as something that they can acquire, like that they can buy it. So then they get stuck in work trying to make enough money to acquire the things that they think are going to get them to feel that way. They buy those things, they don't feel any better. They take that pill, they don't feel any better. They get into that other relationship, they don't feel any better. Because the one thing they're not looking at is going inside and cultivating safety, is cultivating compassion, is cultivating abundance, is cultivating safe connection, well-being. These are not things you can just that it just happen to you. These are practices that are established by very ancient practices that when you follow that path and you continue to do that work and you keep looking through that lens, you cultivate it. And you can feel it on people who are walking that path very differently than people who aren't. Not right, not wrong. It's just a choice. We're all evolving anyway. Your lessons can come really, really hard. And if you're finding yourself in the same loops and the same challenges and the same type of relationships and the same type of money concerns, it's a hard thing, but spirituality, self-realization, healing has to begin with personal responsibility. If you're not responsible for your own well-being, then who the fuck is?
Yeah.
If again, just to use that, just because it's in physical space that we can see, if you're overweight, can somebody else work out hard enough for you to lose weight? Is that going to happen? Can your mom wish it upon you? Be like, I wish they would just finally be healthy. No, you gotta get up and do the thing. You got to eat the whole foods, and you got to make sure you have movement in your life, right? And it doesn't have to be going to the gym like everybody thinks. It's just like just move your fucking body, do what it's programmed to do, move. But you may not be at fault for getting the programming and conditioning and the environment that created unhealthy habits. But when you recognize that you have unhealthy habits, it is sure as fuck your responsibility to do something about it. Right? And again, the person who's 500 pounds is going to have a very different journey than the person who's 250 pounds. Do you guys get that? Different level of trauma that we're dealing with. One's going to have a little bit of a longer, bumpier journey. It's the same thing when it comes to your emotional state. So, I love this talk, by the way. I think it's one of my favorites we've done in quite some time. How many of you guys are tracking what
Yeah.
Elon and I are saying here? And I really want you to get, like Elon said, we're not these people who are trauma therapists or anything else who are promising you the world. We're promising you that simply we've been on this path for a long time. When you walk down the path, you can look behind you and say, that's a bumpy one over there. You put your foot over there, that's going to be painful. You come over here, we're going to show you a different way.
Yeah.
That's all teachers are supposed to do. And I'll tell you this, like I don't believe that teachers are supposed to show you what to see. They're just supposed to show you where to look. And then it's up to you to figure out what you see. That's how you really learn. That's how you really internalize an experience. It's not about more information, guys. It's not. I wish it was that simple. It's about internalizing experiences that you haven't had yet. That's why it's courageous work. Because those traumatized parts that are frozen in time are legitimately scared for their lives to go and have that experience. They actually think by feeling that sensation, it's going to kill you. And to an extent, the death that you're experiencing is an ego death because it's part of your personality, it's part of your identity. And a lot of us are scared. If I let go of that piece of myself, who am I? I remember being in a room with artists, poets, musicians, right? When we used to do transformational work. And they would go up to the front of the room and they say, I see this thing in my life that's running the show, and I'm afraid to let it go because if I do, I'm scared that it's going to destroy my art. Do you guys get that? And they had to be reassured that by letting it go, not only will their art be there, it'll flourish and grow into things that they could not have imagined before because their art is coming from a very narrow part. That is what the self-realization journey is. Now, when you get the fundamentals of what we're teaching here, you can literally face anything in your life. And I got to tell you, one of the best parts of joining what we do here, these are not just programs. I just want you guys to know, okay? Wherever you are in your life, right? There's a few things you need to consider. What am I committed to? Okay? Some of you guys are strict, or really like you're committed to, I'll go check out a course. Fine, we have stuff for you like that. Like you can go check out one of our courses, do it online, do it in your own time. Okay? And then we have those of you guys who are like actually want to commit to a process. Like you want to get this in your bones. You want to bring it into your life. You want it in your relationships, right? Like you have a different level of commitment. We understand that. We have painstakingly sat here for 5 years and thought about and made mistakes with and changed and shifted what we're doing so that we can serve you guys. Literally, from those of you guys who are like in the back of your car and you're like, I can barely pinch 2 pennies together. We still have stuff for you that you can do here with us. To those of you guys who are like fucking crushing it in life, right? You're these incredible professionals and stress and anxiety is fucking killing you because you put an immense amount of pressure on yourself to perform and you're like, there has to be more than just being really good at this job. All right, come work with us. We will show you a new way. And you will still be an epic professional, better than you've ever been. And you'll do it from a place of well-being and safety and stability. Okay, so this is why if you're interested in what we're doing here, get on the phone with somebody from our team. Give us the information, let us see where you're at, and then we will guide you towards here's the best experience for that. Here's what you could do with that level of investment. Here's what you could do when you have only this amount of time. Okay, and if you're really tracking what Elon and I are saying here, is we guarantee you this will fundamentally change your entire life and your relationships and how you feel about yourself and your role in this world. Guaranteed. The reason we guarantee that is because we've never seen that not happen. Because we're not teaching you guys a psychological principle. We are teaching you spiritual truths and a way to view and experience this world and yourself in a way that most people will not experience in this lifetime, perhaps many lifetimes. And somebody here said, I'm 54 and she's upset at herself. I think it was a she, could it be a he? Upset at myself because I knew I could have been doing this for 10 years already. You start when you start, you don't when you don't. We are timeless creatures. If you start at 54, great. By 64, you're going to be head and shoulders above other people in your demographic. And you're going to be looking at, how am I living my life with passion and energy and freedom where everybody else around me is winding the shit down and ready to put another foot in the grave? You're going to be just ramping up. It is never too late to start. You start when you start. You come to this when you come to this. And it is always in perfect divine timing. Elon and I are fortunate that we got to start this early in our lives. And I imagine from where I look today that has to do with work we've done in previous lifetimes. Or the reason that we came to this planet to share these messages with you guys. Like, I don't know if it would be as impactful if I started doing this work 3 years ago and I was like, yeah, I've been doing this work for 3 years. Come listen to me talk. It comes out a little different, hopefully, in your experience that I've been doing this for 2 decades. And in my experience, many lifetimes before it also, the ones that I can connect with. And so there's a thing that I get to speak of in a place of authority, but it's not because I'm better in any way. I really want you guys to get this. People inherently are not special. We're unique. We're not special. And certainly in the specialty or the uniqueness comes from what is it that you're committed to in your life. Elon and I are very committed to our personal liberation. We're very committed to having incredible relationships in our lives. And we're wildly passionate about sharing this because of the type of freedom it creates for other people and the type of community that gets to come out of this. And so this is what I meant to say before, is when you join a program, you're joining a community. We've already built that for you. Because one of the most challenging things is to go through healing work completely by yourself. And many people do healing work and then they go back home and they have no one to talk to about it. Nobody who understands what they're doing. Nobody that they can connect with or see them on that path and support them when they have doubts, when they have concerns, when they're feeling fragile, when they're confused, which happens to all of us. Continues to happen to Elon and myself because we're fucking human and shit happens. And that's why Elon and I also have teams of people around us who support us with our bodies, who supports us with our emotions, who supports us with our energetic pieces, who sit with us and do healing work with us, like nonstop. You guys all know that it took a village to raise a child. It's going to take the same village to help you transform and heal your life. And that's why it's already built in. So when you come do a program here and you come do some of the more, committed work, let's call it that way, it's already there for you. We built all the pieces. You don't have to go in and find all that stuff. It's already here. So again, if you guys are interested in, at the very least, having a conversation about pursuing what it looks like to commit yourself to this path, then type I'm in the comment box and we'll have our team reach out to you. And it's fine if you're watching this on replay. It doesn't matter when you catch us. Type I'm in, we still track it, and we'll reach out to you. And if you're like, I really need to talk to someone now, just shoot an email to support@satoriprime.com if you don't want to wait. Okay, like get on our radar, make yourself known, have a sense of urgency about your transformation. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody. We like to think that we're always going to wake up tomorrow. You don't know that. I want to exercise the time that I have on this planet that is not guaranteed for any of us in the best way that I can maximize that time here. And make that investment in myself. Because I promise you invest in yourself, everything else that you invest time into in your life is going to get better. When you can look through the lens of compassion at every aspect of yourself as things are arising in your life, things are just easier. You guys all know those states when you were like, you expected something from yourself and you didn't show up, and that disappointment and anger and hostility that you feel inside. It doesn't have to be that way. And I really want you to consider, if you didn't respond to life that way, every time something didn't go your way, every time a disappointment occurred, you would get stuck with that thing for a lot less time. And that gives you a lot of time back that other people don't have. People get stuck in parts for decades. They get upsets. They get stuck in upsets for decades. They burn relationships that they care about for decades, usually for very petty things. For decades, they lose that shit. And it doesn't have to be that way. I promise you, it does not have to be that way. We love you guys. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for being part of our community. We hope to see you in our programs. We hope that we get opportunity to support you and show you how incredible it could be. And for those of you guys that do jump in, we really want to honor your courage that it takes. Sometimes you join programs, you don't even know why you're joining, you're just following your heart. Do that. Follow your fucking heart. I promise you, we have incredible technology sitting back here waiting for you guys. You got to commit to yourself, though. You got to take responsibility for that. And we're happy, so happy to show you the pathways to this path of self-realization. And it's available to everybody. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. Peace.
Thank you, dear one, for choosing to share a bit of your day with us. We value you greatly. And as a way to give back and help you to deepen these practices, we want to invite you to join our incredible community on Facebook. You can do so easily by going to joinoldsouls.com and ask for an invite. This is our private community where old souls and seekers are able to grow and share their journey with others. We hold exclusive weekly live streams, we answer your personal questions, and offer valuable insights that we won't be able to share here on the podcast. So again, just head to joinoldsouls.com and grab your invite today. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast, please head to iTunes and leave us a review. It's the only way other people can find this show. So if it's making a difference in your life, please share the love. Until we meet again, have an amazing week, dear one.